So you just moved to Southwest Florida, or you're thinking about moving to Southwest Florida, but this hurricane business has you a little concerned. So today we're going to talk all things hurricanes. We're going to talk about how to prepare and what to expect before, during, and after a hurricane. But first, if this is your first time to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button so you'll be the first to know about any updates, anything to do with the Southwest Florida area. My name's Mindy Sylvester, and I've been living in Florida since 1995, so almost 30 years now. I have been through dozens of hurricanes. I've ridden some out, and I've evacuated for some. And actually, right now, as you can probably tell from behind me, I am not in Southwest Florida right now. I have evacuated. I am in a cabin in Georgia, and we are getting ready to experience Hurricane Milton right now. So I made the decision this time to leave, but I have been through several. So today I want to give you the options, what to expect, so you can decide if you are going to stay or if you think it's best for you to go. So first, let's talk about preparing for a hurricane. Well, actually, first, I want to talk about hurricanes in general. I know some people are like, forget it. I'm not moving to Florida now. This hurricane business is just way too scary. Well, I understand your concern. However, here's what I want you to think about. First of all, Florida is an amazing place to live. Hurricanes can be very scary, but they're scary because you watch them on the news for day after day after day after day after hour after hour. There are no other natural disaster that you know about for 7 days in advance that you just watch on TV like a movie, right? Constantly. So that adds a lot to it. Listen, I'm not downplaying any damage or anything that's happened from the hurricane, but I'm saying that it adds to the nervousness and stress of it by just watching on TV constantly. All areas of the country have weather issues, whether it's tornadoes or earthquakes. Tornadoes and earthquakes, you don't have days notice. Like, they just happen, and a lot of damage can be done with them as well. It's just you don't see about it on TV for a week in advance. So I still think Florida is an amazing place to live. I love it. Hurricanes can be very scary, but that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to get you prepared. So first, let's talk about hurricane season. Hurricane season happens every year, June 1st, whether we like it or not. It happens every year, June 1st. So the absolute best thing to do is be prepared on June 1st. Okay, go to the store, get your hurricane kit. It should include waters, batteries, flashlights, candles, matches, medical kit, food. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Oh, the most important thing, you'll want alcohol. If you drink, make sure you have plenty of alcohol on hand. That always makes the hurricanes get better. So make sure you're stocked up so that's ready. Because here's what happens. When we get into a cone, things get a little crazy. People go to this store, the shelves are empty, and that will really give you stress if you go to a store and there's no food. So don't get yourself in that situation. If you're on a budget, maybe just grab an extra loaf of bread here and there, or an extra gallon of water as you go throughout the year so that you have that kit ready. A lot of stuff that you need for hurricanes will freeze. So try your best to be prepared before June 1st. So then when you're in a hurricane cone, now you've got maybe a week's notice when it's starting to form. So now you have to make the decision, am I going to stay and ride this out, or am I going to evacuate? That's a very important decision, and a very important decision to make pretty quickly. I made the decision. I'm fortunate. I'm so blessed. I have a place in Georgia, so I have a very easy place to evacuate to. I was actually planning on coming up here next week anyway. So, and I have a home that is on acreage with very large trees. So for me, that is a little bit more dangerous than maybe someone who has a newer home and hurricane impact windows at a higher elevation, right? So decide how stormproof your home is and the elevation it's at, and decide if you feel safer leaving or if you feel safer going. If you decide to evacuate, do it sooner rather than later. If you wait until 2 to 3 days before the storm is scheduled to hit, there's a very strong chance you're going to be stuck on 75 with gas shortage issues, okay? And there's a very strong chance it's going to take you 8 hours to get what would normally take you 2.5 hours. So don't wait. if you're going to evacuate, make the decision and go. Now, where will you go? Well, many people go to Georgia. There's some great places in the Georgia mountains. Blue Ridge, Georgia actually felt like Naples during Hurricane Ian. I feel like half of Naples was in Blue Ridge, Georgia. There's some great places in Tennessee. I used to say North Carolina, but unfortunately, North Carolina is having its issues right now. But there are a lot of Airbnbs, vacation rentals, hotels that you can get into. Now, one thing to consider if it's October, if you're thinking about going to the Georgia or Tennessee mountains, you're going to have a difficult time getting a rental on the weekends in Georgia because it's fall foliage season and those Airbnbs are going to be rented for the weekends. So make sure you plan that accordingly as well. So if you decide to, leave, make sure you have water. If you can travel with extra gas, I don't know how you would do that, but just make sure you have a kit in your car, water, some food, just in case you run out of gas on 75. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but just be prepared. So now you say, okay, we're not going to leave. We're going to stay. We're going to hunker down. So what do you need to do? Well, if you don't have your hurricane kit set up, then go get supplies as soon as possible. Get several gallons of water, get ice. You're more than likely going to lose power unless you're fortunate enough to be on a hospital grid. Then you're pretty lucky, because I do have a neighborhood that I sell a lot of homes in, is we're at Hacienda Lakes. They never lost power during Ian. They're right next to the hospital. So some neighborhoods are very fortunate, but plan on losing power. So plan on getting ice so you can hopefully keep some of your food that's in your refrigerator and your freezer. Try to invest in a really high quality cooler that will help save food for several days. Florida's gotten a lot better about power issues. During Hurricane Irma, I lost power for 9 days. During Ian, it was only 3. Governor DeSantis has done an amazing job at getting Florida prepared. There are linemen everywhere. There are thousands of linemen. When everyone's evacuating, the linemen are coming into our state. They're staging themselves throughout the state, and they're ready. They've done a great job. But be prepared to be without power from 3 to maybe 10 days, obviously, depending on the severity of the storm. If you can afford a generator, obviously get a generator. Whole house generators are probably going to cost you $25,000 and up. Not very many people can afford that, right? So get a generator from Home Depot for, I think they should be under around $1,000. Try to get a generator if you can afford it. At least that way you can run your refrigerator, not lose your food, and maybe one room to have some air condition. Don't run your generator in the house, okay? Because that's a huge cause for fires, and I've seen that happen. Also, if you have an electric car, move it out away from your home. Get it out of the garage. Homes have caught fire because their electric cars have caught on fire. So make sure you're safe. For ice, if you go to the store and there's no ice to be found, ice is one of the first things to go. Get Ziploc baggies. Fill the Ziploc baggies up, flatten them out, put them in the freezer. You can make your own ice trays, right? Just get lots of Ziploc baggies. Water, if you're out of water, I don't know many homes who don't have a cabinet or a drawer in a house that doesn't have 30 water bottles in it. I know mine does. Fill up the water bottles. People say fill up the bathtubs, maybe fill up the washer. There's plenty of ways to get water ahead of time before the storm. So definitely do that. Candles. Like my house always looks like I'm about ready to have a seance. So I always have candles, but just don't have them out and have them ready with lighters nearby, because sometimes you lose power when it's pitch black. So make sure you have those ready and their flashlights staged throughout the house so that you can have easy access to those. So get extra propane tanks for your grill, and try not to wait until you get the cone, because that's going to be an issue. I have a couple of extra propane tanks. You might be cooking on your grill for a week, so have extra propane. Try not to worry. No one is going to starve. I say no one is going to starve. It's highly unlikely you're going to starve, because every time there's been a major hurricane, there's always restaurants that have generators that are serving food. Sea to Table is a wonderful grocery store in Naples that has a lot of restaurants in it. They were open throughout the entire hurricane when Ian happened. They have tons of food. tons of alcohol. There are going to be places open. You're not going to starve, but get a kit for yourself. So what are you going to get in your hurricane kit? Get food that's non-perishable. Obviously, canned goods are good. Canned vegetables, canned chili, canned beef stew. They have protein in it. Maybe not the healthiest foods, but they will have protein in them and they're filling. My husband likes Chef Boyardee, really not the greatest food, but hey, we're in an emergency situation here. So we're in survival. We just have to get what's easy to cook. If you don't even have a grill or your grill's not working, you can hopefully build some kind of fire or heat source to at least warm up food. You can make macaroni and cheese. Peanut butter is great. Make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. One thing to do before the hurricane, you've got time on your hands, bake. Bake as much stuff as you can. Have that on hand. Have some fresh bread, have some muffins, have some cookies, have some snacks. You're going to have about at least 24 hours, hopefully, between the time you're fully prepared and the time the hurricane hits. And honestly, I think that's probably the hardest part, is the waiting. After you're prepared and now you know it's coming, and there's nothing you can do but just sit and watch it and sit and wait. And that's when it gets a little bit stressful. So at that time, that's when I really recommend you turn off the news for a minute and put on a movie. Watch something funny. Watch something that makes you smile. Watch something that makes you laugh. I'm not saying put your head in the sand and don't be informed. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying give yourself a little bit of a break before you turn that news back on when it gets closer. But if you watch the news, I guarantee you're going to have a much more difficult time dealing with this if you're just constantly watching it minute by minute. Okay. You're going to have a time period. There's 24 hours to go. Okay. Don't make yourself crazy. Give yourself a little bit of a break and turn that back on as it gets a little bit closer. That way you can be fully informed as to what's going on and when it's actually hitting. You're going to lose power more than likely, whether it's going to be temporarily or for several days. So just be prepared for that. The worst part is usually the heat. So if you happen to find maybe a battery operated fan, that does help. But again, if you have the ability to have a generator, that is absolutely ideal. So during the hurricane, obviously, depending on where you're situated within Naples, it can be a little bit scary, right? Some storms are really heavy with the rain and the thunder, and some you don't get as much rain, but you get a lot of wind. You can hear things around you falling. Go into a room that has the least amount of windows. Also, you want to make sure you collect important documents before the storm. Put them in a dry bag. You can get those in a marine store. Put this in a dry bag. The deed to your house, your marriage license, your driver's license, all the important documents that are difficult to replace, put those in a dry bag and keep those safe. Go into a room that has the fewest windows, right? And just kind of stay safe. Get your candles. Try to get a board game, maybe get some books, try to pass time, depending on if it's daytime or nighttime. Hopefully, maybe you'll be trying to sleep. The hurricane generally passes pretty fast. It's not like it's going to go on for days and days. It generally passes within a couple of hours. Sometimes you might feel the house shaking a little bit, but again, it depends on the severity of the storm and how new and how well built your home is. But it will pass. And it's kind of like, when it's the anticipation of it. I feel like that's the hardest, right? When you go into the doctor or you go speak in front of a group and you're so nervous and it's got you all worked up. And then you're like, you get the shot and you're like, oh, you're done. Like that was it. Like that wasn't that bad. It's the anticipation of things that are usually worse than the actual occurrence. Now, I'm in no means, I believe me, I know some people have just been affected very severely and very directly. And I understand that. And of course, my heart goes out to them. But for the most part, most of the time, the hurricanes, you think they're coming, and sometimes they miss. Well, obviously, sometimes they hit directly. So that's why we're being prepared. Once the storm is over, it's over. Now you know what you have to deal with. And there's nothing great. There's nothing ever good to come out of a hurricane or any of these terrible situations. But if you do pull one silver lining out of it, it's the way that the community comes together afterwards. It's heartwarming. It's heartwarming to see everyone helping their neighbors and just everyone kind of coming together, politics, everything aside. And it's just helping your neighbor rebuild. And that is heartwarming. There are people who just, they leave their home and they go out to see who's in greater need and helps them. And it's the one thing, of such a terrible situation that you can pull out of. But I hope this video helps you. Whatever it is, we will get through it. So if you keep yourself safe, you try to keep yourself mentally strong, try to not allow yourself to think about the worst case scenario, right? We deal with whatever comes our way and we will get through it. So stay safe. I hope this helped and I hope you stay safe. And I hope Milton goes far away and doesn't hurt Florida. So stay safe and prayers for everyone ever in any hurricane path. Thanks for watching.